Thank you very much, dear professors, dear colleagues. Thank you very much for this opportunity. If I may, I would like to speak another topic as I wrote. And in this presentation, I will be addressing the circular economy and related to this, the right or interest of the future generations. I will primarily analyze this topic based on the Hungarian fundamental law, constitutional court practices, and domestic legislations. First, I would like to address the questions concerning future generations. Since the work of the Brundtland Commission is the issue of opportunities for future generations has been an integral part of the concept of sustainable development. As Edith Brown stated, sustainable development relies on responsibility to equity with future generations. The costs and benefits of every project depends on the perspective of the present generations. In this day, most legal systems recognize that the future generation have rights or interests too, though these rights only have meaning if the current generations respect them. The theory of intergenerational equity is based on the belief that all generations have an equal place in relation to the natural system and that there is no claim for preferring past, present, or future generations in relation to the system. The current Secretary General of the UN released his report on our common agenda at the end of 2021, in which he also stated, accounting for the interest of future generations would require two adaptations: strengthening our capacities to understand and assess the future, building long-term thinking into important policies and decision-making, and creating specific forums and instruments to protect the interests of future generations at all levels of governance. In a new decision in the Strasbourg Court in the Klima Seniorinan case, the European Court of Human Rights recognized the interest of future generations as an issue that could provide a basis for judicial review. The Hungarian Ombudsman for Future Generations recently issued a call to attention on the compatibility of emergency legislation and the protection of the interests of future generations. The document emphasized that sustainable development, therefore, has a defining component with over 30 years of consensus in the protection of future generations. This also implies that environmental protection is an integral part of this whole, as ecological sustainability is a central issue of sustainability. We are all part of nature and must respect its limits, which are also ours. This interconnection is unbreakable and can only be understood together. The natural environment provides the foundation on which society operates, and the economy must serve that society. Otherwise, its operation becomes purposeless. Turning to the Hungarian fundamental law, Article P of the fundamental law states that the responsibility to protect and preserve the nation's common heritage for future generations lies with the state and every individual. Meanwhile, Article 20 establishes the right to physical and mental health. Article 21 establishes the right to the health environment. Article 22 outlines Hungary's endeavor to ensure universal access to public services. By highlighting a few related examples for domestic constitutional court practices, it is evident that the practice of the Constitutional Court is consistent regarding the protection of the nation's common heritage and future generations. The Court elaborated that, according to Article P of the Fundamental Law, the current generation is burdened with three main obligations: preserving the possibility of choices, preserving quality, and ensuring access. Regarding regulation affecting the nation's common heritage, the Court statutes indeed legislation that does not encourage frugal economical management of natural resources violates the requirement arising from Article P of the Fundamental Law, that the current generations can only freely use the available resources as long as they respect the fair interest of the future generations as well. Regarding the polluter pays principle, the fundamental principle of environmental law, the court noted, the polluter pays principle, as articulated in Article 21, Section 2 at the Fundamental Law, holds prominent significance in Hungarian, international, and EU law, and it's closely related to the preservation, protection, and improvement of environmental quality, protection of human health, and the careful utilization and preservation of natural resources belonging to the nation's common heritage. Accordingly, the polluter pays principle in relation to the right to the health environment and the rights stipulated in Article P of the Fundamental Law, which in the context of adjudication in constitutional compliance, it is not considered a right ensured by the Fundamental Law, as an integral part of these rights separately named in the Fundamental Law, not only prescribes an absolute content limit for legislation, but also requires educators in individual cases to always consider the realization of this principle in the applications of laws. Sorry. What are these obstacles to protecting the interest of future generations? First, and perhaps most importantly, the lack of political will is often mentioned. Environmental measures are typical, expensive, results-ready materials within 4 years, and moreover, future generations do not vote in the present. Additionally, there are always other more urgent tasks, or those that seem more urgent. All of this is true, and the state's duty to protect is primary concern. However, in neither the linear economy model nor the circular economy model do we sufficiently emphasize the role of consumers. If we accept the wide-held economic notions that consumers consume up their income, and sometimes beyond, we must also consider how we can set consumer decisions on sustainable path. Broadly, the concept of the circular economy can be viewed as an alternative to the prevailing linear economic model. Its fundamental aim is to keep products in economic cycle for long as possible, beginning with the design phases. Along these lines, circular economies increase the efficiency of natural resource management. Notably, the circular economy reflects to the UN's Sustainable Development Goals, especially Goal 12, which focuses on responsible consumption and production. Each of the SDGs can and should be linked to future generations. The diagram of the circular economy has added the terms reuse and repair of the topic of consumption. The EU's circular action plan statues that the EU's planned new economic model based on a closer relationship with customers, most customization to sharing and collaborative economy. Powered by digital technologies such as the Internet of Things, Big Data, blockchain, and AI will not only accelerate circularity, but also the dematerialization of our economy, and make Europe less dependent on primary materials. The action plan set the goal of empowering consumers. Providing them with cost-saving opportunities is a key building block of the sustainable product policy framework. To enhance the participation of consumers in the circular economy, the Commission will propose a revision of EU consumer law to ensure that consumers receive trustworthy and relevant information on products at the point of sale, including on their lifespan and on the availability of repair services, spare parts, and repair manuals. The Commission will also consider to further strengthen consumer protection against greenwashing and premature obsolescence, setting minimum requirements for sustainability labels and for information tools. The Commission will work towards establishing a new right to repair and consider new horizontal material rights for consumers, for instance, as regards availability of spare parts or access to repair, and in the case of the ICT and electronics, to upgrading services. In early 2024, the EU adopted a directive to empower consumers for the green transition. Thanks to the new measures, EU consumers will have access to reliable information to make the right green choices, including on early obsolescence. Be better protected against unfair green claims. Be better informed about the repairability of products before purchase. There is an agreement on the EU level on the Green Claims Directive, which aims to define criteria on substantiating environmental claims made by companies to sell their products and services. The rules address greenwashing and help consumers make truly greener decisions when buying a product or use a service. Credible information is needed to make considered and correct consumer decisions. Competition authorities with consumer protection power, such as the competition authorities of Bulgaria, Ireland, Poland, Germany, and additionally to Hungary, therefore pay particular attention to green claims in corporate communications, as unfair claims and logos can have a significant impact on consumers' transactional decisions and those distort competition in the market. At the beginning of 2024, the Hungarian Competition Authority published a report on the results of the market analysis on the formation and use of environmental claims by market players. It is important to highlight that prior to this and science then, the Hungarian Competition Authority has been paying special attention to the issues of green claims. Among others, the authority published a notice for businesses to assist them in developing commercial communication practices that help them to avoid infringing the law. Of course, credible information is important for consumers to make decisions, but the question arises, what are we not adequately addressing? If I may quote a classic, I have a dream. The consumer society itself needs to be dismantled. Many problems arise from overconsumption, the irresponsible consumption, and the culture of replacement. Since I fear that this will not happen anytime soon, it is necessary to discuss the tools that can adequately influence consumption. Economic tools can serve the purpose if used effectively. These economic tools act as incentives and can encourage use to choose environmentally favorable options over those that are environmentally detrimental. One such economic tool is the deposit refund system, which is launched in Hungary on 1st of July this year. The spread of sharing system can also provide assistance in several cases when and if they are well designed. A personal example, in Budapest, car sharing systems are not available in the other districts. There are no drop-off or pick-up options. In other words, the very people living in the other district do not have a real alternative in this case. We must also remember that when we talk about future generations, we are, sad as it may be, also talking about future consumers. Therefore, significant emphasis should be placed on awareness raising and education. Instead of a conclusion, I would like to return to the call to attention from the already quoted Hungarian Ombudsman for future generations. The separation of present and future generations is not possible. As we are talking about the same humanity and Hungarian identity, the entry of the human species can only be understood in its unit as process of generations. The protection of future generations can be viewed as the obligation of present generations, as a from self-restraint, the minimum of which is the prohibition of harm. All of this require long-term thinking and care, avoiding decisions that may be favorable for the present, but determined for the future. The interests of future generations must be protected by everyone, which means that the related obligation requires sacrifice from everyone, including the state, at least the sacrifice of recognizing that no one cannot do everything what one wants. However, the role of the state is prominent among those obligated, as it manages the hypothetical legacy of future generations as a responsible guardian. Therefore, we accept from the state to demonstrate self-restraint and to hold others accountable for their obligation as well. Thank you for your attention.